Right. So yesterday I had talked about the object repository, the various concepts in object repository and all, how the script works, how it is recorded. Fine. So let's move on from there. Okay. And let it open. Fine. All right. So now what I'll do is I'll talk about this thing known as the concept of a shared object repository a little bit, right? And after that, I will talk about VB scripting and reading values from this something on a data table. But I think you already know data table. I just saw your desktop, you were using it. Fine. So now the concept of reusable uh, action is that sometimes what happens is it's not reusable action, but the shared object repository. As I told you yesterday, you can save the object repository as a TSR file, right, on the desktop. This is the TSR file, okay. And what you can do is you can share this TSR file with multiple test cases, fine. And if you want to make a TSR file separately, you can go to Resources Object Repository Manager. Fine. Once you go inside Object Repository Manager, you'll have a window like this, wherein you have the regular object repository features. You can add the objects by clicking over here and keep on adding objects, and in the end save this file as a TSR file. Fine. I'll just show you that, for example, I'll create a folder on my desktop or E drive. Just a minute. I'll create a folder here called TSR. Okay, test shared repository. Fine. Out here, what I'll do is in my browser, suppose I go to the website Gmail, fine, or I go to eBay. I go to ebay.com, right, and in my repository I add this text field, okay, and after that I add this drop list, fine, and save it as on my hard disk. As suppose a.tsr file. So this TSR file can be associated with as many test cases as you want by going to your object repository, clicking on this icon and adding it. Fine. This is what I told you yesterday. Now suppose I am in this object repository manager. I select the option File New. Right. I select the option File New, and I add, suppose I add the link eBay buyer protection, eBay top rated sellers and all. Fine, I add these links. Okay, and I again save this as b.tsr. So you have a.tsr lying on the hard disk. You have b.tsr lying on the hard disk. Fine. These are the two TSR files. Okay. Now, sometimes you run under a scenario wherein you need to merge the two TSR files. That is, you need to merge them into a single file. Alright. For doing that, you can go to your object repository manager, fine, and let me go there. Right. In the object repository manager, you have something known as merging tool. So there is object repository merging tool which is out here. Object repository merge tool, comparison tool. So all these tools are there, right? So you can go to your object repository merge tool over here, and you can merge the two object repositories. You can select the file. The primary file is a.tsr. The secondary file is b.tsr. Click on OK, and the merging will happen. No conflicts found. That means if some object is found in both the repositories or something, what will you do? So I merged both these repositories together, and I can save the final file as, say, c.tsr. Okay, so this is a very simple concept but a very strong one which you can be required to learn at times, right? But like frankly telling you, if I am given the option of working with QTP, I never use object repositories. Okay, I don't know, but I find it a little bit lengthy process to use object repository. If you are using descriptive programming and all, you can directly identify the objects and all everything. Okay, fine. Now, alright. Now I have talked about object repository. I have talked about how to use it, how to generate scripts, how to drag drop stuff and all everything. Right. Now, when you are making scripts, okay, you actually read the data and all everything from the data table. This is the data table. Okay, this is like an Excel file, right? You keep the data in this, and you read the data from this in the script. Okay, I will come over to data table, fine. But before that, I think I should be telling you a little bit of VB scripting first. Okay. Look, in VB scripting, a lot of things, right? But the majorly things which you will be using are the inbuilt functions. They are very important. The inbuilt functions in VB. I'll give you the knowledge of that as well. Well, you'll be required to make your own functions and all everything. I'm assuming you know the basic stuff, that is what loops are, what if statement is and all everything. Because if you have to, if you want me to explain them to you, if statements, for loops and all, then I can do that. Otherwise, we can move further on. For example, if you go to insert, you get the optional statements, if else statements over here. If you click here, then these will be generated. Right? If you go to insert here, loop statement, then for, while loops and all will come up. Right? You can click on any one of them and the loop. So loop syntax will also be generated. So yeah, recording is there. Okay. So now, in yesterday's video, I'll be deploying it soon. Today you'll get the event today or by tomorrow morning. Fine. Okay. Now in this whole thing, if you actually go to Google and type out here you get very useful VB functions which are used in QTP a lot. Also, if you go to help menu of QTP is very, very powerful. Okay, if you go to help QTP help, if you go here, one minute. Fine. Out here you have got VB script reference. Okay, this is quite good. When I learned QTP 5-6 years back, I actually used to refer this a lot. Okay, there are a lot of stuff in VB script. Okay, user guide, line reference, and all everything. Okay, in this. Just a minute. There's an index over here. If you type, suppose if you want to find something related to how to do date conversions or something, you can write date over here. You will get all the options starting with date, and you can double click on it, and you can get a lot of things. Okay, so basically, or date create property, date add function. There is a lot of things available out here. Okay, and in the contents you'll get that. In the contents, if you click on the contents tab, you will have the contents. Now, in the functions over here, under VB script language reference, under functions, you will get all these functions. These are the inbuilt VB functions. Out of them, right, these contain all the functions, string functions, date functions, and all everything. If you just want to learn about any one of them, you can click on that. For example, I have the function called, say, date function over here. So this is the date function. Okay, if I just write over here message box is the command to print something in VB. If I write message box date and I run this, see, it gives us the date for today. Fine. And there are other statements as well. For example, message box. Now, run this, it will first print the date and now prints the date as well as time. Right? So all these function references and all we will get here. Now there are very useful 6 functions which are there on this particular link. I'll give you the link as well. These are the functions. Okay, in string, left, right, mid, split. These are the string functions. Okay. For example, the instr function. What does this? These are inbuilt functions of VB. Okay. For example, if I copy this code, they've been on this link. They've explained it in a very easy way. If I write message box instr 1, a b c d e f g h I and d, I have written d here, and if I run this, this prints 4. This prints the first occurrence of the letter D in this string. Suppose this string is, this is a good day, right? And I write over here good. So when you run this code, it will print 11. That good is starting from the 11th character in this string. Similarly, if I have other functions, for example, the left and right functions over here. Okay, if you have to cut the string from the left side or right side, then you can use these functions, right? For example, let this link open up. If I write message box left, this is a good day, comma 4. So what this will do, this will cut off 4 characters from the left side. So when you run this, in VB you can, in QTP you can run the script from a particular line. This is the advantage of QTP. It is a very good advantage that if I want to run the script from line number 3, you can right click on line number 3 and select the option run from step. So when you do this, it prints this. Fine, this is a good day. It prints this, and right? So similarly, the write function will also do that. Write function will cut off 4 characters from the right. If you run this, see that it prints day, right? The mid function, which is out here, it will cut the string from the middle portion. The mid function out here, for example, you write over here 4,5. So what this will do is, if I run this, you will observe that, mid. Okay, so what this will do, if I run this from the step, then this will print S space is. So what it will do is, it will print the 5 characters after the 4th character. Okay, the 4 over here means that from the left side, move 4 characters, and 5 means get me the 5 characters after the 4 characters. Okay, this is what it does. Now sometimes what happens is that in VB you make mistakes. For example, if I forget to close this particular bracket, right, and I run this, I get an error, right? But the thing is, I don't want my script to stop when the error comes. You see that again, right? What I want is that the script should continue running. Okay, it should continue itself, it should keep on running, and the error should be reported, or you should be able to catch the error. You should not get a dialog like that telling you that the error has come up. Fine. For that, we have the error object in VB. You have to write like this: on error resume next. Okay, on error resume next. So this means that in case if there is an error coming up, move over to the next line. So when you run this now for the 4th step, due to syntax, okay, sorry, this is a, okay, just a minute. Suppose if I write here, I give a wrong function, just a minute. I give the wrong function itself. So you see that message box never came up. The write function is not supposed to take 2 arguments. It's supposed to just take 1 argument. So when you write from the line number 4, you don't get an error, but the script also never stops. If I delete this line, if I put a single quote and I run this from the step, I'll get the error that the write function has been supplied wrong number of arguments. Okay. So when you write on error resume next, the script keeps on running, but the line on which the error comes up, it's invalidated, that is, it does not execute. Right. Now how do I come to know that if there is an error? Right. To do that, in VB script we have an error object. Hold on. Out here, if you look at the errors over here, error section, if you extend this, runtime error and syntax error, there are 2 sections. Okay, and just a minute. They have described now every error in VB has a number associated with it. Okay, number and description. Okay. For example, number 11 means divide by 0 error. Okay, so every type of error has a number associated with it and a particular description. Fine. So there are 2 types of errors: runtime or syntax errors. So Now, with the help of on error resume next, you are able to bypass the error, but you can actually know what kind of error is there. Because what happens is that there is an internal object known as ERR. That is, if I write over here message box ERR dot number, and if I run this, it will print 450. So whenever there is an error, there is a particular error number generated. An error object is ERR object is initialized in the memory. Okay, and ERR dot number will give you the number corresponding to that error. And if you write message box ERR dot description, then this will give you the description corresponding to that error. So when you run this on line number 4, number is this and description is wrong number of arguments or invalid property assignment, which is absolutely correct. Fine. Now, out here in the VB script reference, you will have the error object as well. In objects in collection, you will see this ERR object. Okay. If you expand this, you will get the ERR object properties and methods. Every object has properties and methods associated with it. The description property and the number property I just showed you. And the methods are clear and raise. What is clear? Now after knowing the error number and description, if I want to clear the error object, you can write ERR.clear. After clearing, if I try to print the error number and description, I will not get any. You run this, you get the error number, error description. After that, on line number 16, I'll clear the error and you get the error number as 0. Error number as 0 means there is no error. Error description is blank. So you can clear the error object as well. After the error has been raised, you can clear it. Fine. So this thing is quite useful when you are coding and all. Instead of getting abrupt errors, you can catch the errors and you can keep conditions that if the error number is not equal to 0, then you can proceed further. Otherwise, you can report an error or something like that. Okay. Fine. So this is what the error object is, and there are some functions which we studied in string right, left, mid, which I used a lot. Similarly, you guys can go on this link. Okay, on this link you will see the various functions present out here in string left and right, mid, split, in string reverse, U case, L case, convert to capital, small, trim and all. So these are some conversion functions as well. Okay, now these are quite important. Sometimes you have practical scenarios wherein you have two variables. Okay, let me save this test. And make a new test. Now sometimes what happens is that you read a number from an application, okay, and that number is read as a string. For example, if I write a equals to 2, so this is a string, and if I write b equals to 3, this is a string. In Qt actually you can directly write these things. There is no need to declare them or something. Okay, if I write a equals to 2, b equals to 3, and if I write sum equals to a plus b, and out here I'll write message box. Instead of message box, you can also use one command known as print. If you write print sum and you run this, make sure that you select this option as always. Temporarily store the run results. This will temporarily store the run results and delete them later on. Your hard disk space will not be utilized unnecessarily. Okay, when you run this, it prints the sum in this separate window as 23 because both A and B are strings. So if you want to convert A to an integer and B to an integer and then add them, the function is cint. So these types of conversion functions are used a lot. These functions are there in this link over here, conversion functions out here. Okay, so now if you run this, if you add 2 and 3, it will print 5. Fine, it is printing 5. So you have the functions cint, and similarly there are other functions as well. Cint, clongs, convert to date, and all. There are date and time functions. For example, date, time, and now. These three. If I write over here, print date, print time, and print now. Sometimes you want to know how much time is a script taking to execute and all. So these functions are very helpful. So when you run from line number 7, it will print the current date, the current time, and now prints the date and time both. These date and time functions and all are also available in QTP help. I just told you about the functions. Just a minute. Yeah, under functions, you will get all the functions out here which you will require. Okay. So it depends on your scenario, what kind of scenario are you executing, what kind of problem you have in front of you. You can refer this set of functions and you can draw the solution. Okay. So for example, you need to find the difference between two dates. You have two dates with you and you need to find the difference. So this date function, it helps you. Okay. So right now, okay, fine. Now in VB, as I was telling you, you can directly declare the variables like this. Sometimes people think they have to write dim first, dim A, comma B, and then start. You can also do like this. Dim means it's a syntax for declaration of variables. When you run this, it will also work fine. Okay. But if you don't declare, then also it will work fine. But if you write a command called option explicit in the very beginning, if you write an option explicit command in the beginning and you run, the shortcut for running is F5, run, then what happens is you get an error, right? Undefined variable A. If you are writing option explicit, then it is mandatory for you to define all the variables which you will be using. Okay, so this kind of VB script is like it complies to the original VB in which we had to declare the variables and all everything. Okay. So it's up to you whether to use option explicit or not, and completely up to you. So when you use option explicit, you end up declaring all the variables. Fine. So what we studied was, we studied some inbuilt functions. We studied about the date time functions, some inbuilt string functions. We studied about something known as on-error resume next, the error object, ERR object. Okay. That object is initialized whenever there is an error in the application. Fine. And we studied about this command option explicit. Okay, some basic things. And I just assume that you know about loops and statements already. Okay, now in VB there are lots of other things as well. If you go to my site, there are regular expressions, there are this, that, a lot of things. Okay, I'll be creating an account for the videos, and in your spare time, fine, just go through this video, the regular expression one, because in this I have made very good examples. Fine, just go through it. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Fine, and now whatever we have learned, okay, till now, right now, whatever we have learned, we'll pick that, fine, and we'll go over to, you can say, we'll go over to the scripting. Okay, we will make some script. Day 2 underscore 2, fine. Let me make a new project, okay, or a new test. Now suppose what I have in my hand is that I need to go to this site, say, close the browser. Suppose I want to go to a simple site, say gmail.com. Okay, on this Gmail you have got a lot of text and all. Suppose the scenario is you want to read this text which I have highlighted. Okay, you want to read this particular text with QTP. So what you do, you add this text, you spy this, fine, you spy this text, this is the text. It is actually coming inside object called as web element. Text is generally categorized into web element. Okay, and there are properties of this web element. Now these properties are known as RO properties, that is runtime object properties.